What's good, guys? So I got a deck profile for you guys, and you guys know that I love zoo cards. So this is a pure zoo deck, teched out to beat the decks that I think are going to be the most represented in the June format, which is probably going to be Tri Brigade Zoo and Drytron, just because those decks are so new and Lightning Overdrive just dropped. So the whole deck is teched out to try to beat those two decks. I think Tri Brigade is a little bit, actually, I think it's a lot better than Drytron, but we'll see how the format goes. But Pure Zoo is one of those decks that I've talked about many times where it just has so much room to play cards from your side deck into your main deck, or just cool tech cards to try to deal with the other decks, because the other decks don't have that much space. Tri Brigade doesn't have that much space to actually play around with other cards. Same thing with Drytron. Their main decks are very like engine focused, so the selling point to this deck is you have a lot of space to play tech cards that can blow out the matchups. So let's get right into it, and I'll explain the theory behind some of the cards I'm playing. So the Zoo package, you could probably play around with this, whatever you guys want to do, but I'm not playing Bunny Blast anymore. Like Bunny Blast, there's no like King Long. So like when Virtual World was a thing, I really did like Bunny Blast, but right now there's not that many spells that you Bunny Blast actually helps negate. But one Rat, three Ram, three Thorough, three Whiptail. That's very standard. I like all those. Then the triple Ash, because it's the most generic cantrip, and I think Ash is good, even though it's kind of low impact versus Tri Brigade, but I would still play it. And then Barrage, three Tanky, three Desires. That's all standard. This is the next part is the part I want to talk about, the field spells, because that's a selling point. I think field spells is a very strong way to try to deal with Tri Brigade. It's not as strong versus Drytron, but if you go first and slap Necro Valley, it still hurts them a lot. And if you have Dryden Necro Valley, it's almost impossible for Tri Brigade game one to deal with that unless they're main decking spell and trap removal, and usually they do not. But one Terra, three Necro Valley, one Mystic Mind. People don't understand. Necro Valley shuts down so many cards. I've had videos about Necro Valley. Necro Valley is actually crazy against almost every deck. It's really good into Dragon Link as well. I think a Dryden Necro Valley wins most matchups. Some of your harder matchups, like Eldritch, Necro Valley hits that deck entirely. And there's just cards that Necro Valley hits that people don't even think about. Like Necro Valley can negate IDP, like Ice Dragon's Prison, and a lot of people are on that card still. I don't think IDP is that good right now, but yeah, Necro Valley just has insane value right now. All the Tri Brigade monsters cannot banish from graveyard anymore, and they cannot use their most broken trap card, which is Tri Brigade Revolt. I think Necro Valley is literally such a good card. If you know a deck that can play Necro Valley, play it going into this format until people start respecting it and playing spell and trap removal. I'm telling you, this is free wins. And then Mystic Mind, another card that's a free win, but I didn't play more copies of it in the main deck because I'm choosing to go first. But another approach that I definitely do have for this deck is to just completely blind second with mines and like lightning storms and all of that good stuff, because people also don't know, if you go Mystic Mine against Tri Brigade, it's almost an FTK as well. Same thing. I think game one, their only out is Imperial Order. They have to react to the mine, and it's very hard for them to react to the mine. And the cool thing with the Zoo cards and Mystic Mine is you could, when they have a field of two monsters and like three back row, which is very common right now, you could go Mystic Mine. Nothing can interact with the Mystic Mine unless they're their main decking Judgment or Cosmic, or they drew their one of order. You go Mystic Mind, then normal summon a Zoo, direct attack with Borbo, 6 material Zeus, blow up the whole field. And now you're out of the Mystic Mind lock, and you have 4 more materials underneath the Zeus. So I think that's a really good way to approach it. I definitely can see this deck trying to blind second with the mines as well. But Mystic Mind, another good field spell. This is literally a field spell pure Zoo deck, like trying to tech out everything possible to get the biggest advantage possible against Tri Brigade. And Mystic Mind is usually good all the way around, and sometimes you can just honestly deck people out if you want. Most of the time I don't go for the deck out, I go for a Borbo direct and clear the whole field. But sometimes if I feel like, oh, I can't actually win this game, I will go for the deck out. And then this is a flex spot Chalice. This keeps changing around. This can be more hand traps. This can be Bell, maybe it can be Effect Veiler, a lot of different things. I've been liking Chalice, but this is definitely something you guys should play around with, see what you guys like. And then the traps Metaverse. So now we have 5 copies of the Necro Valley, and we have 3 copies of Mystic Mine. Metaverse is really good. Metaverse can also catch people off guard when you grab the Mystic Mine. If you just pass on nothing but Metaverse, you can actually just catch people off guard like that. And then Macrocosmos, just another broken floodgate that Pure Zoo can main deck because they don't care that much about the graveyard. Oh, one more thing to note. With Necro Valley, I think a lot of people are going to see this and be like, oh, you can't use Chakanai anymore. But you're never getting to Chakanai if you're playing against Tri-Brigade and they went first or they're trying to break the field. I would much rather have the blowout. Me resolving Chakanai doesn't do anything, but me resolving a blowout actually wins me a game. So I don't think the Chakanai thing is that big of a deal. And if you really care, Zeus can get rid of this and Dryden can just pop it if you really want to get to your Chakanai. But I don't think that's that important right now. And usually when you're playing, if you want to do a Chakanai play, you'll do it before you activate your Necro Valley. But yeah, I would highly recommend playing Necro Valley in this deck. But yeah, Macrocosmos, another broken floodgate that you can play in Pure Zoo. It's very hard to find decks that could fit cards like Necro Valley, Macro, Mystic Mine. There's a few other decks, and I'll definitely run through them. Some of these decks are going to be older decks because most of the new decks are so graveyard reliant and they have to banish. But yeah, Macrocosmos. And then the other hand trap of choice, Impermanence. I really like Impermanence because it does the same thing as a Veiler. I've been talking about how Effect Negation is really good both into Drytron and Tri-Brigade specifically. And I really like that if they did set up a board, at least Impermanence can be drawn as a 6th card and acts like a Chalice to either negate Appaloosa or the Double Dragon. And the Double Dragon is one of the bigger issues because you'll literally lose to 1 bounce. And then the other traps of choice that I choose to play, and you guys can play any other traps that you want. I think the deck is nice to play with trap cards, especially if I'm going first. I want to be able to go Valley, Dryden, and then just 1 back row, and that's game. So Triple Strike, Triple Judgment. One reason I like Judgment, I'm really liking Judgment in the main deck right now in some of these slower decks. And when I'm playing cards like Necro Valley, Mystic Mine that are just trying to end the game, if they do have an out and I set a Judgment, the game is actually over. Same thing with Imperial Order. If you have back row, it's always nice to be able to stop it. Imperial Order kind of conflicts with the field spells, but I think you can choose which one you want to activate. Imperial Order is kind of weak into Tri-Brigade, so I kind of didn't want to main it, but I couldn't think of another trap that was better than Order. But Order's there, and I think usually most people play Order in this deck, and sometimes Order just catches some of the other decks like Dragon Link completely off guard, and you just get the free wins against that. So that's the main deck. Field Spell, Pure Zoo. I'll go through the side deck real quick and the extra deck. I don't think that stuff's that important, but Triple Droll, Triple Nibiru, these are for the combo decks that actually these cards can impact, like Drytron. I think Droll needs to be played, either this or Psycho Reader, and I feel a little bit more safe with the Droll. You could Droll them and go 6 Material Zeus, or just activate some like trap, or just set some trap cards when they just pass. It's very hard for Drytron to play through the Droll. Nibiru, I side Nibiru in against most combo decks, except I still don't know how good it is against Tri-Brigade because they can play around it and summon Appaloosa before their 5th, so it's really annoying. I haven't been siding it in. I think board breakers are way better. Cards like Mystic Mine are better. The field spells are definitely way better than Nibiru into Tri-Brigade. Duster and Storm, these cards are very generic. I think almost every Pure Zoo deck plays these cards. You kind of have to. That's why, yeah, like if you guys don't have Storm, I don't know, like play evenly or something, but Lightning Storm is just so good in this deck. I highly recommend playing Lightning Storm. And then the other Mystic Mines, when I go second, you probably want some of your Necro Valleys out because Necro Valley's really high impact going first, but the other field spell that's really high impact when you're going second is Mystic Mine. So I recommend playing the Mystic Mine when you're going second into decks that Mystic Mine can actually FTK, like Tri-Brigade. And then traps, anti-spell, and then the reboot. A reboot's very common. You can reboot Zeus everything. And then anti-spell, I just like having anti-spell in my deck whenever I go first because there's always some broken spells that people are also siding, maybe their own Lightning Storms and things like that. So that's a side deck. Very standard. You guys can change it around. And then the extra deck, 3 Zeus. I'm pretty sure the extra deck for Pure Zodiac is kind of standardized. I don't think there's any spice that I'm really playing. But 3 Zeus, 1 Vesminado, 2 Borbo, 3 Chakanai, 1 Dryden, 1 Hammer Kong, 2 Tiger Motor, and then the Mega Clops if you choose to go for the Rat play. I actually never go for this, but I'm sure I usually see it in every deck, so I put it in there, but I never like going for it. This could probably be a flex spot as well if you want to play like a 3rd Borbo or something like that. But yeah, guys, that was Pure Zoo with field spells. I know it looks a little odd because I don't think Zodiac has ever played Necro Valley until recently. Specifically in the OCG, they've played both Necro Valley and Mystic Mine in their decks, and I definitely took inspiration from that. I think the deck is really good as a right under the tier 1 decks. I think it's a good counter to Tri-Brigade. I definitely recommend trying the field spells. Field spells, Pure Zoo. Let me know what you guys think about it. I know a lot of people don't like this deck because it doesn't have a high ceiling, but it's a fun deck, and it just reminds me of like the format that I came into the game in. Really cool deck. So stay tuned for more deck profiles like this. Let me know what you guys think, specifically about the field spell. That's the main point of this deck. And stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. And I'll see you guys later.